The only thing we can know is that we don't know anything, and that is the summit of human wisdom. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Reading War and Peace Diaries. Today is, I don't even know. So it's October 7th, and we are currently on page 200, no, 382. We are making progress. We are finally making a dent in this book. A thousand more to go. So I have been out for some time because it's like I'm homeschooling. Like, what can you do? I'm just only one person, and I take care of three babies and a human being, an adult human being. Okay. Anyways, so I just be pretty busy, and then I get tired. I'm not a machine. And so I don't necessarily remember where we left off, but I think it was somewhere along the lines of I can't even tell you. Oh yeah, so Mariah, the situation with Mariah. Go back like babies and pacify. Yes. Anyways, I'm happy that she doesn't get married to Anatole. I really thought that that was just going to be the end of her. That was just literally going to be the end of her. And so when she stands up and she's like, "No, I'm going to be with my father." I wanted to, if she existed, I would have gave her a thumbs up. We go back to where Kutusov and all of them talk. There was like they had like another a battle that they fought with Napoleon. Andre, he doesn't die, but Napoleon and his men leave him because the doctors over there just felt like he was just beyond repair. Prince Bolkonsky, Andrei's dad, they receive a letter from Kutusov, which is it was confusing because I'm like, did Kutusov die? I don't know if he dies necessarily, but I do know that the word in the Petersburg streets, they're just talking really down. They're really like they're talking down. Like, even though I feel like I was a little bit harsh on Kutusov because I really didn't like his behavior. I didn't think that it was honorable the way he kind of like handled that last battle. And I know I keep saying kind of, but when I say kind of, it's because I'm not really sure. But from what I can recall, he didn't do that good. He didn't perform to his best abilities. His age definitely was showing that day. He sent a letter to Prince Bolkonsky stating that they couldn't find him. And so Prince Bolkonsky is assuming that he's gone. Now, Mariah is supposed to tell his wife Liza about this, but she decides not to. And thank goodness she doesn't, because Prince Andre, he ends up coming at the last minute, like right when Liza is about to have her baby. Now, I think we also talked about the situation with Pierre. So Pierre, he gets married to Helene, and when Count Rostov, Elia, I think his name is, when he throws a party for Bagration, when he comes back and they celebrate him and honor him and all that stuff like that. Pierre's there, Dolokhov is there, Nikolai is there, and Denisov is there, among other people. And Dolokhov has been staying at Pierre's place. He's been recovering there as well. Why he don't just go home to his mama, I don't know. But he's been at Pierre's place and he's been causing a little chaos over at Pierre's place because Pierre receives a letter that it's an anonymous letter that tells him like, hey, like your wife is messing around with Pierre and everyone knows but you and all that stuff like that. And so Pierre has been going through it a lot, and it's very noticeable. People are noticing it. At the party, though, Dolokhov is seated right across from him, and because Pierre is so like out of it, because he's just like just drowning in his thoughts. Nikolai and Dolokhov decide to get disrespectful, and Pierre challenges Dolokhov to, I wouldn't say a duel, but like I don't know what you call those things, a standoff. What is it called? Like, I don't know, one person to shoot off or whatever. I forgot. It's like something like Western people. Where's the Westerns in the Western movies is something that they do. But he challenges him to a duel, and Dolokhov accepts the challenge. Pierre just un, un unknowledgeable of how to even like conduct such a thing. He ends up hitting Dolokhov, and he wins the duel. But Helena's upset because she's like, so you did all of this, and what do you think you were doing this for? Like, if anything, it just makes you look even worse. And it makes us look even bad because it just makes other people think that you believe the he say, she say. Now, I don't really know if it was true or not. We don't really get into that kind of, we don't get a glimpse into that. But Pierre is at the point where he's just like, I'm done. I don't really love her. I don't really respect her. We don't love each other. She doesn't make me happy. I don't like the way that she walks, the way that she talks. I don't like the way that she dressed. I don't like the way that she sneak dicks. So, he's at this point where he's fed up. Now, the part where it gets me upset is he gives all of his estate to her, and he leaves. I'm like, I get it. You got like millions of dollars now. It's probably like worth a lot of money, but it's just like, come on. What are we? Ugh. Pierre got me so upset. I'm just so mad at him because it's just like, what are we doing, bruh? Like, you too old. You too old to be walking around here just so ignorant. So Nikolai is straight tripping. Ever since he did his first battle on, I forgot where it was, by the bridge or whatever, he just has it in his head that like he is like a full-blown soldier. Now, granted, like you paid some of your dues by being present, but you ain't pull a trigger, you ain't done, you ain't really put in the work. But he comes back home and he's just I mean, there's parts where I understand because it's like he wants to have fun and he wants to soil his royals or whatever. And that part I understand. But I just didn't like how he had this arrogance about him. I understand a lot of it is being fed, right? That part of his ego is being spoon fed because he is looked at from his family and friends as a war hero. And one of the things that I do want to talk about really quickly is even though there is word going around Petersburg that the Russians lost that battle, they kind of do mental gymnastics to make it seem like, well, you know, we did good, but the Germans, they sucked. We held our own. We pulled our weight. But the Austrians were terrible. So it wasn't us. We did good. Like everyone else is just, that's why we lost the war, because it was them, not us. And it was because of Kutuzov. He was just a terrible leader. And it's just like, that really sucked. It's like, regardless of whatever it is that he done in his previous years, in his earlier career as a soldier or general or whatever, it's like none of it matters now because the end is what sticks out. At the end of the day, Kutuzov knew like it wasn't going to work out well for them, and he tried to voice that opinion, but no one wanted to listen to him. So I could see where he kind of he kind of tuned out, right? But at the end of the day, like, you're supposed to, you're a leader, and a lot of the soldiers, because there was, you know, a lot of that chaos ensued because the leaders were not well within their right mindset to be good leaders that time. And I don't think Bagration did a good job either. But they're honoring him at the party, which was just like, it was crazy to me. But anyways, yeah, because he didn't even show up at the war council, or like the where they were planning, where they were talking about the deposition or whatever. He didn't even show up. Even though Kutuzov went to sleep, he still showed up, right? But anyways, so with all that being said, let's go back to Nikolai. So he goes there and he's like, so Sonya understands, like he's back, so he wants to have fun. So Sonya is like, I understand that you want to have fun. I understand you don't want to like get married right now, so I'm just gonna let you have your fun. And Nikolai's like, sure, thank you. I really appreciate that. And so he goes and he has his fun. He links up with Dolokhov, and that whole situation is the repeat of Pierre. He goes with Pierre and flirts with his lady. He hangs out with Nikolai. He starts to flirt with Sonya. He falls in love with her and he proposes to her. But Sonya's like, no, I'm in love with someone else. Dolokhov knows that Sonya is in love with Nikolai. So what does he do instead of just moving on? Like I said, he's a scrub. This is scrub-like energy, okay, that he embodies. It surrounds him. So he invites Nikolai to his little card game or whatever, and he catches a lick. Like he robs him, right, in IOUs of 46,000 rubles. That's crazy. Mind you, this was right before Nikolai. This was right after Nikolai's dad gives him like, I think what, like $2,000 or something, like 2,000 rubles, and he tells him like, this is all that I can give you right now, so please like spend it wisely. What does Nikolai do? He freaking puts himself in debt. 46,000 rubles. I want it if he was my son. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. So now I'm a little bit nervous because I'm like, is that gonna ruin the Rostovs like financial stability? Oh my gosh, like that would be crazy. So he goes to his dad and he's like, like it is what it is. Like people go into a 46,000 ruble debt every day, B. And then his dad's like, yeah, yeah, sure. And he goes and finds the money. Mind you, Nikolai tells Dolokhov, right? Oh, I'll give it to you in like by tomorrow. Not like in a week or 2 weeks or whatever. Granted, like they don't really have that much time in Moscow, that much longer. But he's like, oh, I'll have it to you by tomorrow. And he is aware that his dad might not have the money because his dad told him, like I said before, that the 2,000 rupees was all he could give him at the moment, right? And so the fact that he did that was just like crazy. But it's like I get it because it's like, first of all, you should have left when you lost the first time. When that first card flipped and you lost the 20 rupees, you should have just left it alone then and there, right? It's just selfish. Absolutely selfish. So it was either the 46 rubles, I think, or Sonya, which was like, this is how we know Dolokhov is, he can't be trusted. He can't be trusted because look how he's moving. Like this is full blown scrub energy, and people need to keep him at bay. So there was that situation. Um we go back to Pierre, and he is somewhere. He's at a train station or something like that, and he's waiting for some horses or whatever. I don't remember where it was or whatever. But he meets this mason. He's a traveler named Osip. So he talks to Pierre, like pretty much he reads Pierre, pretty much saying like, I know who you are, I know what happened, I know what you did, I know why you're here. And he pretty much just kind of talks to him about masonry or Freemasonry, because Pierre's like, well, I don't understand, like I don't really believe in God, so I don't really understand what you're trying to say. And so Pierre just pretty much just trying to get him to explain to him logically what is God. And one of the things that I wanted to talk about that he kind of explains here, Osip, he says the highest wisdom is founded not on reason alone, not on the worldly sciences, physics, history, chemistry, and the like, into which intellectual knowledge is divided. The highest wisdom is one. The highest wisdom knows only a single science, the science of the whole, the science that explains the whole of creation and the place of mankind within it. In order to assimilate the science, it is necessary to purify and renew the inner self. So before we can know, we must have faith and be made perfect. And for the attainment of these aims, we have had implemented into our souls the light of God, which is called conscience. He says, ask thyself whether thou art content with thyself. These things are really interesting because he goes into Pierre's backstory from what he heard about. And he's like, are you proud of what you've done? You have obtained all these millions. Does this make you happy? Are you doing what you can to help to instill positivity into the world or perpetuate negativity into the world? You are in a position of power. How are you utilizing that power? Look at your life, sir. How have you been spending it? In riotous orgies and debauchery? You have spent your life in idleness. And then you married, sir, taking responsibility for guiding a young woman through life. And what did you do? You did not help her, my dear sir, to discover the path of truth. You thrust her down into the abyss of deception and misery. Someone offended you, and you shot him. And you now tell me that you know not God, and you loathe your life. There is nothing strange in this, my dear sir. Mariah was talking about in her prayer when Anatoly came, when she was asking, how do I remove myself from these devilish uh, ways or these devilish things, where she was expressing her feelings for Anatoly, and it's a very selfless kind of thing. And I think that that's what Osip is talking about with Pierre when he's saying, like, you have lived a very selfish life. Not once have you decided to walk along the path or walk along your journey from a selfless standpoint. How can you sit here and say, well, I don't know God, when you are not living in the light of God? I guess that's what he's trying to say. This is what I'm receiving from it, right? I feel like what he's saying is, how can you sit here in front of me? How can you play in my face? You sit here with such conviction, with such certainty, right? With such belief in the idea that God doesn't exist, when you are living a filthy life, a godless life. Obviously, you're not going to be able to see him because, like, he ain't there. That ain't the house he lives in, right? And so I get what he's saying. I get what he is saying. Now, what I think this is happening here, as far as Leo Tolstoy, I think we are talking about, and it's this idea of living in the world but not of the world. And this kind of made me think about this quote when I was reading Prince Vasily, where he was kind of he was describing his character, right? How he can't help himself. He has to be the kind of person to leech onto wealthy men. He doesn't do it consciously, it's inside him, right? He goes, Prince Vasily was not given to planning ahead. Still less would he think of doing any harm to other people in order to gain an advantage. He was a man of the world, pure and simple, right? So he's of the world. Everything of the world, which is pretty much, to me, I guess it's considered the devil's playground. All these materialistic things. This is what this is what Prince Vasily has attached himself to. So he can't be a person without or removed. Like, he can't be removed or detached from material things. He needs that because this is what he has grown accustomed to. Someone who's found success in society and turned success into a habit, right? So this is in him. He can't help himself. He can't help himself. And so it made me think of that quote where he talks about, I guess it's from the Bible, but it's not this is not the verbatim verse, but it's pretty much just like living within the world, living in the world, but not living of the world, right? So here, where Prince Mariah, she talks about, right? So she goes, "Oh Lord God, how am I to subdue in my heart these thoughts that come from the devil? How am I to renounce forever all evil thinking, so as to live at peace and fulfill thy will?" So when she's talking about this here, because she's having these ideas, right? So it says, Prince Mariah dreamt of family happiness, a home with children, but at first, her strongest, her most secret desire was for earthly love. So once again, right, it's this idea of things that are within the earth, right? Uh, these are more so of the devil, right? And so it's just like, well, it makes me think, like, then why are we here, right? I think us being here is like the ultimate test, right? The ultimate test that we go through in order to, I guess, maybe prove to ourselves and to God or to whatever it is that people believe in, right? That we can live our life in order to understand ourselves, in order to understand what we are, what this is, what this all means, without falling prey to the traps of earthly earthly possessions, earthly attachments, right? And if people don't, there's other religions, right? Spiritually speaking, it's this idea of the universe wanting to know every aspect of oneself. So they broke themselves into a billion pieces, place themselves onto earth in order to experience and to study what it is that they wanted to experience, right? And the study is being performed by ways of living or life, right? And so we acquire that information, and we're able to understand every aspect of ourselves, right? But anyways, and then there's other religions. Like I said, I don't really know too much about them because I didn't really study them, but I think that Leo is talking, like, he has all these different characters here, and we're experiencing all of these people. And I think the ultimate goal is, we have a cast of characters, and there's a lot of talk of glory, there's a lot of talk of wealth, marriage, titles, estates, victory. Are these things important? Are these things important? And I think that's what we will explore, and I think that's what Pierre will go through when he goes through the whole Freemasonry journey, because he wants to go be with Osip, but he sends him to Petersburg to go study underneath somebody else. But yeah, so there's that. And lastly, I'm going to end this here because it's getting pretty long. One of the things that really got me super annoyed and disgusted, I was itching. Denisov, little nasty, he decides to propose to freaking Natasha.